How to enjoy your life, the first steps. I'm Steven Shomler. Welcome to Spark to Bonfire. I'm ready. You ready? Let's do this thing. So this video is part of my How to Enjoy Your Life teaching series. The first video in that series you can find over on the Steven Shomler channel. In that video I talk about how Mamma Mia broke me and inspired me to begin learning to enjoy my life. The second video you'll find right here on the Spark to Bonfire channel. Enjoy your life right now. 5 life-changing words. I emphasize the importance of enjoying your life right now. Don't put it off. The third video in this series is I can't enjoy my life because the 6 BS excuses people give me, and there I tackle the excuses people give me, and the excuses may be a little harsh, but sometimes they are just excuses, but sometimes there's reasons why people are struggling to enjoy their life, and I tackle those 6 reasons, those 6 excuses, those 6 hindrances, kind of unpack them and give some ways that you can deal with them. If you find I just can't enjoy my life, maybe go check out that video. And that brings us to this, the 4th video in this series, How to Enjoy Your Life, the First Steps. I love to define things, and I think it's really helpful to give things usable, helpful definitions, particularly when I work with people. You know, if they can define what something means to them, it helps me better understand what they mean when they say it. And to that end, I love dictionary.com. I look up words and find out what they mean and try to find the word that says what I want it to say. So I looked up the word enjoy in dictionary.com, and here's what I found. To experience with joy or to take pleasure in. If you're going to enjoy your life, you're going to experience your life with joy. Or if you're going to enjoy your life, you are taking pleasure in your life. And I think it's really, really important to ask yourself, do I do that? In fact, I would encourage you right now, go get a blue pad and a yellow pen. 2 things that I found very, very important as I work with people, as I do my practice, my brand of wizardry I call Life Story Alchemy. I'm a life story alchemist. An alchemist in the medieval days would take an ordinary gold like lead, and they would allegedly, the myth was, they would transmute it into some kind of amazing, extraordinary metal like gold, from lead into gold. And in my journey, I was able to transform my life story from something ordinary to something extraordinary. And the people I've worked with over the past few years, I've literally helped scores of people transmute their life story from something ordinary to something extraordinary. And when I work with people, I found this concept of want and possibility to be really, really important. You know, you have to want life change. You have to want to enjoy your life. And you also have to think it's possible for you. So often we may want something, but we don't pursue it because we don't think it's possible for us. We've never seen anybody do it before. For so many years, I wanted desperately to be an author, but I never pursued it because I just didn't think it was possible for me to become an author. The defective story I was living by, defective, not detective, it's got an F in that word, defective story I was living by told me I just can't be an author. I'm just not good enough. I'm not a writer, a whole bunch of nonsense. And that lack of belief and possibility held me back for many years. But eventually, 16 years old, I wanted to become an author, and 29 years later, I still remember the day I became an author. I was so excited and so fired up about it in 2014. It was a life-changing day for me. But want and possibility. So if you need to, pause this video and go get yourself a yellow pad and a blue pen, because I've got 2 really, really important questions for you as we head into this topic of the first steps you can take to enjoy your life. The first question is, you got your blue pen and your little pad, right? Okay, write this down. It's a yes or no. Do you want to enjoy your life? Yes or no? Write it down. Okay, here's the second question. Write it down, yes or no. Can you right now enjoy your life? Yes or no? And then bonus question, if your answer was no, if you're like, I can't enjoy my life now, the because came into your head. Because of this situation, this problem, this hindrance, write that down. That thing that came into your heart, came into your head, came to your mind, like, oh, no, I can't enjoy my life, and it's because of X, because of this, write it down. Now, some of you said, yeah, actually, I could enjoy my life. I never thought about it, but I could, or I do. But some of you, I know, it's like, oh, no, I can't because of X. Write that down. That's really, really important to write it down. All right, I said I like to define things. We defined what it means to enjoy your life, to take pleasure in your life, to experience your life with joy. Let me give you one thing to consider that enjoying your life is not. Enjoying your life is not only being happy when you're playing softball or bowling or hunting or gaming or whatever you do for recreational activity, out on your boat or snow skiing or whatever it is you do, I run into people often who think that because they have this recreational activity they love, that they enjoy life. And I'm all for having a recreational activity you love. I call a recreational activity that feeds the soul that you are a vitality pursuit. But for a lot of people, their recreational activities are not vitality pursuits, recreational activities that feed the soul that they are, that leave them feeling restored and replenished and like, But their recreational activities are like pain patches. They use it to self-medicate because they can't stand their life. They're miserable. So they found this 1 or 2 or 3 things they could do to self-medicate. And it really is quite tragic. And I need to do a whole teaching. I will do a whole teaching what vitality pursuits are. But just in a synopsis, years ago, a friend of mine, I heard him teaching, Bill Miller. He kind of inspired all of this, sparked this in my head. He's the one that catalyzed this way of thinking. But he told this story how one day he hiked up this big hill and saw a waterfall and how beautiful it was. And the way he was describing how he felt, it's like, wow, I want a recreational activity that leaves me feeling like that. And his hike, no, I don't want to do that. You get hot, you get sweaty, you can't drink from that waterfall, you got to haul your own water up. I didn't want that. I'll tell you what I realized was my recreational activity. Before I do it, we have 2 hikes here in Oregon that I absolutely love that are beautiful. Coachella Falls, it's 1 mile in, it's 1 mile out. It's in the Columbia Gorge, just outside of Portland, just the beginning edges of the Columbia Gorge. And man, you hike that 1 mile, it's not too steep, it's not too long, and there is the most, I'll put a picture up in this video, beautiful waterfall you have ever seen. It's just incredible. And the second, there's a 1 mile, total 1 mile hike, half mile in, half mile out. And I call it the best 1 mile hike in Oregon. I wrote about it over on my Save You Travel Adventures website, my travel website. It's just incredible. Short sand beach trail. You park on this side of the road. You walk under a bridge. You walk under under 101 and go underneath. And then you're walking through this beautiful wooded path. There's a stream on your side. And then you come to this bridge. And as you cross over this little beautiful wooden bridge, you can look off to your left and you can see the ocean. Then you cross a bridge and a little rise and boom, right there's the ocean, this beautiful beach. So I do like some kinds of hiking, just not straight up. I mean, I remember years ago a miserable hike I went on outside of Olympia to some place called Wagon Wheel. And it was super steep, and I think it was like 45 minutes up, and that was miserable. And then we got there, and the view was ugly. There's this little piney pond, and it wasn't that pretty, and it's like, oh, this is just disappointing. So I'm picky about my hikes. But the recreational activity that feeds the soul that I am, oh my goodness, that's movies. I still remember my dad had a friend when I was a little kid, George Dodge. And George Dodge was involved in filmmaking. He was in special effects, and this really cool movie came out. And he drove out Highway 74 and came out to our place, drove up El Toro Road. We had to meet him at the gate, unlock the gate so George could get in and go to the top to our property. And he convinced my dad that we had to go back that whole trip back out, go back down Highway 74, head out through Corona, head out to Riverside to the Tyler Mall, to the Tyler Mall Theater, and see this amazing movie that was coming out called Star Wars. It was 1977. I was 9 years old. And man, I sat there and I was captivated as those big words came crawling across the screen. Then that big ship. And oh my goodness, it was an epic adventure. I remember when I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater, 1981, when it first came out. I was 12 years old, and in Indiana Jones, and this big, huge rock was chasing him, and that was an epic adventure, and it kind of blew my mind. And then earlier, I was 8 years old, 1976, I saw Rocky, and Rocky was just an incredible movie. Absolutely loved Rocky. And so those are kind of things that feed my soul. When I get to see a movie where the good guys win, and that's really, really important. I've had enough misery in my life. I don't need to see a drama where everybody dies and we feel bad about it. I've been there, lived that, don't really need to do that anymore. I want a movie, the lights come down and the previews start, and I've got popcorn and I've got some M&Ms with peanuts, and oh my goodness, I just absolutely love movies like that. And I grew up with comic books, and all these comic book movies, I can't tell you how much they excite me. I think they're phenomenal. And so for me, that's a recreational activity that feeds the soul that I am. Probably talk too long about that. I'll do a teaching video about those. But it's very different to have a recreational activity that feeds the soul that you are, a vitality pursuit, versus a recreation activity you use to self-medicate, use like a pain patch because your life is too painful and too miserable. Okay, we labored too long on that one. Let's get to those 8 tips that I'm going to provide you to help you and begin this journey of enjoying your life. So tip 1, if you don't enjoy your life, admit it. Write it down. Go back to that piece of paper, say, wow, I don't, and admit it. You have to own it. Say it out loud to yourself. Man, I don't enjoy my life. And then tip number 2, say out loud, but I am going to, starting right now, decide I am going to begin enjoying my life. And tip 3, mentally in your head, step onto what I say it, step onto the path. You can step onto the life change path and begin the journey of changing your life. Another path I teach people to step onto is the enjoy life path. Step onto the enjoy life path, mentally head, say, wow, I've started on this path. I'm going to start walking forward. And the more years I walk on this path, the further I'll get down deep into the journey of enjoying your life. And one day I'll discover, wow, I'm enjoying my life. That happened for me. I stepped onto that path 2008 after Mamma Mia, the movie, broke me. If you haven't seen it, go watch it with me on the Steven Shomler channel. It's kind of amusing. And I stepped onto that path. And somewhere along the way, 7 years down the trail, 7 years walking on that path, by the time I got to 2015, wow, I was enjoying my life. And it probably started sooner than that, but I kind of had figured out along the way. So step 1 is admit it. Step 2, tip number 2, decide that you're going to do it. And tip number 3, step on to that path mentally. Say, now I'm on the path. I'm headed in the direction. I've started. I've begun the journey toward enjoying my life. Tip number 4, accept the small, doable step process. I teach people that life change happens one doable step at a time. Dreams come true one doable step at a time, and a doable step is a small step. You're not, when it comes to enjoying your life, if you're not doing it, you're just going to magically flip a switch and wake up tomorrow and, oh, there's just butterflies and bluebirds singing and everything's perfect and boom, you just enjoy your life. You're going to have to take lots of small, doable steps to go from where you are to a place where, wow, way down the trail, wow, I'm actually figured out I'm enjoying my life. So that's tip number 4, accept the small, doable step process. Number 5, you're going to need to start to think about shifting your perspective from I didn't enjoy my life to now I can. Now I'm going to figure, it's a pivot. It's a pivot to, wow, I didn't even know I was enjoying my life, but now I am going to start to get this perspective, and then I'll forget that I can get it, and then remember, and forget that I can get it, and then, oh yeah, no, I'm enjoying my life. No, I'm going to figure this out. No, I'm going to enjoy my life. It's a shift in perspective. Tip number 6, you have to develop the skill of enjoying your life. You need to accept the perspective of enjoying your life. That's the perspective. But then tip number 6 is you need to develop the skill. Now, I remember when I had learned how to ride my bike out, property I grew up on 260 acres of scrub brush and rocks, Rancho Royal del Toro. My dad was building this house, and we had this little road that he put in, a couple tractors, the road's all over actually, and he put, the road went past our house, and then it went up past the Pigeon Palace. My dad built this big, huge, kind of like a small barn for his pigeons. He called it the Pigeon Palace. And in the evening at dusk, they would fly around, and he thought that was beautiful. And then you go up past the Pigeon Palace, and right next door to the Pigeon Palace was the Cactus Garden, up on a little tiny sloping hillside. And on the other side of that road, there was this long fence. About every 6 feet was two wooden posts, about 3 feet tall or 4 feet tall, not very tall, and then 2 posts going this way. So not much of this fence, but every 6 feet, posts going up and down like this, and then 2 posts going on old school Wild West kind of looking fencing. I loved it. And I would plant cherry tomato trees in those, cherry tomato plants along those posts. And then on the other side of that fence was my orchard. I had about 30 as a kid, 30 fruit trees, all kinds of fruit trees that I had a garden in there. And then if you kept going up, it went up around the hill and up to the water tank. So this road, you could ride down this hill, and it was pretty steep, and then it would narrow down, then slope from my garden all the way down to the front of our house. So I would get way up here and kind of try to learn how to ride my bike, and I'd kind of, keep my feet down, and so I wouldn't fall over and never lift my feet up and kind of walk all the way down over and over and over. And oh my goodness, it was so hard for me to learn to ride a bike. Developing that skill, that's one of the 4 hardest things I've ever done in my life. Let's see, what are they? Learning to ride my bike, that was miserable. That was really hard to do. Long division, I'm spatially challenged for real. And long division was super hard for me because you carry the number and duplicate it. But where do you put it? And that where was really hard for me. And I know my teachers were exasperated with me because I had straight A's and I was really smart and I could read, college level books. but I couldn't remember where to do it again. They'd say it's the same step over and over again, but spatially that didn't help me because it was a new where. It was it was down here and down here and down here, and that was horrible. Putting in contacts, oh my gosh, putting a finger in my eye, that was a hard thing to do. And then learning to edit video. Oh my goodness, my poor son Zach, he would get exasperated with me. I asked the most craziest questions. It didn't make sense to him, but again, it's because I'm spatially challenged, and it just didn't make sense to me, the where of editing and the steps, and I need every little step broken down, and eventually I figured out, but those are the 4 hardest things. In learning to enjoy life, developing the skill of enjoying life was not near that hard. If I can learn those things, you can definitely learn the skill of enjoying your life. Tip number 7. You need to have the practice of enjoying your life. It's a perspective that you shift to, that you pivot to. It's a skill you develop, and it's a practice that you do. I mentioned in the second video in this series, Enjoy Your Life Right Now, 5 life-changing words. I talked about my client, Jessica. I named her Jessica to, kind of protect her identity. Jessica's not a real name. But recently I talked to Jessica, and she told the story where she's putting enjoying life into practice. Because she's been working really hard on it and done an amazing job. And recently she got up and had all this work on her mind she had to do, and a lot of stuff that had to get done in her head, but it didn't have to get done right then. And someone offered, hey, let's go for a walk. And she really wanted to go for this beautiful walk and just take a little break in the morning. And she could. She's self-employed. She had the ability to do it. But it was a real struggle for her, like the tyranny of this call of this work, and say, wait a minute, if I'm going to enjoy my life, I need to, and she could, there wasn't some urgency. That work didn't have to be done right then. I know sometimes projects have a deadline. She have a project with a deadline in the next hour. So taking a 10, 15-minute walk would have been no big deal for her. And she realized, wow, this is where I actually can walk out and practice what it means, situations like this, to actually enjoy my life. So that's tip number 7. You're going to start to practice it. Tip number 8. You need to begin to appreciate everyday beauties and wonders. You need to take pleasure in the everyday occurrences that happen that you like. There's everyday occurrences that happen every day in your life that you enjoy, and you just need to start to take the time to appreciate them. I love a good cup of coffee or a good cup of tea. Oh, I really do. And you can just drink your coffee or drink your tea if it's something you enjoy, or you can actually take the time to enjoy it. That's part of what it means to enjoy your life. Now, everybody's wired different. I love going for walks with my sweetheart, and I love taking photos, and when I find something particularly beautiful, just the other day I took this beautiful photo of this pink blossom. It was just incredible. I'll put a picture up here. I love that. It was so inspiring to me, and there's a time where I would have never gone on the walk. I have work to do. I have time to enjoy my life. I have time to enjoy, go for a walk. I just got work to do. There's the tyranny, those damaging lessons I learned in my childhood. I had a defective store, and I learned 4 damaging lessons related to work. If you don't know those are in the previous video in this series. But now I love to enjoy my life, and I find beautiful trees, and I love photos, and you think, oh, that all sounds corny to you. Great. But what are the everyday occurrences that happen in your life that you need to learn to come to appreciate and to drink deeply from them and to savor them? That's what it means to enjoy your life, is to enjoy some of those everyday occurrences and really, really lean into them and embrace them. So today, I tell you, I really do enjoy my life, and my life is not perfect. I still have heartaches, I still have struggles, I still have losses, I still have frustrations, things I call thorns in the garden. It's a metaphor I taught my son years ago. I told him there's thorns in the football, and that kind of helped him deal with the frustrations that come up in everyday life. I still have all of that, but I get the joy of enjoying my life. It's just such a better way to live. 2008 is when I first had this realization I didn't, and I started out walking on the Enjoy Life path. The time I got to 2015, I was doing a much better job of enjoying my life, and like I said, it's a night and day difference, and some really amazing things have come in my life because of it. September 13th, 2017 was a huge, amazing day in my life. My sweetheart and I went on our first date. We went to a dive bar. That became the origins of Portland Dive Bars. You can go to that website, portlanddivebars.com. It's a project my sweetheart and I work together. And that first date is the origins of a project she does called Desperately Dating, which is incredible. You can go to desperatelydating.com and check that out. It's a resource she's created for people that are ready to move beyond desperately dating to having what she calls a soul-satisfying relationship. But that first date, we sat there and I heard her story and heard her journey. And she'd learned to enjoy her life, and she wanted someone that enjoyed their life. And if I hadn't figured out how to enjoy my life at that point, I would have missed out on that incredible relationship. I enjoyed my life, she enjoyed her life, we came together, and now we get to enjoy our lives together. And I tell you, things are so much better when you figure out how to enjoy your life. I highly, highly encourage you to do it. Life is too short and too precious to live a life that you don't enjoy. I'm Steven Shomler. I believe in the beauty of your dream. Go live the life you imagine. And more importantly, please, go live a life you enjoy. Go live a life you love. You deserve it, and you are worth it.